Not cowbell, sir. It's just triangle. More cowbell maybe later.
Classes. I have the woodwinds, and so you can hear by what you were listening to, they're starting to play individual parts, so they're not all playing in unison like they have been. Also, we've been working a lot on blending and making sure people don't stick out, but they're listening to each other. And one of the main things I've recently started working on with the woodwinds is their scales. Because one thing that they'll have to do by the end of the year is they'll be playing 7 major scales. So I want to just demonstrate the first major scale that we've been working on, and it's the concert B flat scale. And I've been working on teaching them how to play what we call in rhythm with the arpeggio. And then we added a little something special at the end. We added a few little chords. So woodwinds, you think you can demonstrate that for me? All right, bring your instruments up. And we're going to do concert B flat scale in rhythm with arpeggio and chords. 2, 3, 4. So that we can listen to our balance and listen to our tuning. Also playing the scale in arpeggio helps us with our fingers moving faster and things like that. We have one more scale they're going to demonstrate, and that's the concert F scale. And then after Christmas, they're going to learn 5 more. But here's the concert F. Woodward, are you ready? All right, ready? Notice we do a lot of non-verbal communication with them. We work on that too, ready? Here we go. Practicing their scales and rhythm and listening using a tuner, using a metronome to help them with their sound and their pitch and all that good stuff. I'm going to pass this over to Ms. Stamen, who will talk a little bit about the breath.
All right, good evening. Here at the Villa, we are really big about not just teaching them how to be great musicians, but also how to be good people. So I know that the transition to middle school isn't always very smooth. So in our brass classes, about once a week, we work on character lessons. I call them Statement Citizens of Band, where we practice kindness and respect with each other and start building some classroom culture. In addition to that, the students have recently had a listening assignment as well. So not just can they play their instruments, but also starting to get them listening to professional musicians. So they should have come home, they had a worksheet to fill out kind of a project where they had to pick a piece off of a big list of them to listen to a solo or a featured section of their instrument or their part in a larger ensemble to get them listening to those characteristic sounds. So it's not just what do we sound like, but what can we sound like as we keep working through the year in the coming years as well. Other than that, we are actually going to demonstrate part of our warm-up for you. So every day when we come into class, we go through announcements, and then your students sing. Yes, they sing. It's not just band, it's choir too. So they're going to sing part of their warm-up for you. It's going to be our concert B flat starting on Do. Naomi, can you give us a C? Let's sing on half notes. Ready, go, do, ready, patterns back to me just by noticing the hands and knowing what those pitches correlate to. So that's part of our warm-up, just to get their ears working. Brass musicians really have to be good at hearing pitches before they play them. So that's just one way that we expand our musicianship beyond just playing. And the last bit that we do daily, we also do some buzzing. I'm not going to have them demonstrate that yet, but that buzzing is part of expanding their range. So our big class objective, besides getting this concert music ready for you all tonight, is to start expanding the range on their brass instruments as well. So that includes doing some sirens on their mouthpieces where they'll buzz high pitches and back down and back up, and we're working on some stamina. So it's been a lot of range extension in addition to scales and concert music as well. So they're progressing pretty well, I'd say. So I'm very happy with all that they're doing. And that's all for me. So Mr. Banks is going to talk a little bit about percussion.
It is such a blessing that we are able to divide your students in 6th grade into 3 parts and do such unique things with each one of them. And I hope what you're hearing already is that even from the last concert they played, I hope you're noticing a huge difference in the quality of sound that they're making. And that is, we're just super thrilled about how much better they sound right now. And they'll sound even better in about 3 months when we play again for you. So we're super excited about that and so thankful for the ability that we have to divide them up. The percussion, just like the woodwinds and the brass, have been very busy. Right now we're in a cycle where we're learning a bunch of different instruments. Unlike everybody else in the band, the percussion has to learn about 30 different instruments in their first year here. So they've been working primarily on snare drum and mallet, but now we're branching off into bass drum and triangle that you saw them working with, as well as tambourine and suspend, all kinds of cymbals. And we're fortunate over the years we've built a pretty substantial inventory of percussion instruments. Most middle schools have a snare drum. We have a little collection of snare drums, and they all make a different sound, and therefore they're appropriate for different kinds of pieces, and so we're introducing them as we go through class in these last couple of weeks. This snare drum is good for this kind of thing. And I gotta tell you, I'm also telling them how much they cost to replace them so that they know when they drop it on the floor and it breaks into a million pieces, how many yards they're gonna have to mow or cookies they're gonna have to bake to replace that snare drum. Just looking out for you a little bit, okay? So they're also in a percussion class, and they're working on percussion ensembles, and right now they're in a great situation because all 6 of them are in different small ensembles with older students that are mentoring them in their performance. And like the woodwinds and the brass, we're learning scales as well. But for us, we don't have, for the percussion, we have different limitations. And we don't have the embouchure musculature that we have to train to play a register. If you are accurate with your hands, you can play pretty much as high as the instrument will go. So our scales sound a little bit different than they do for the woodwinds and the brass. And it's one of the things we're able to learn a little earlier on, so that later on we can spend time learning the other 15 instruments that we got to figure out how to play. So the three percussion mallet players are going to demonstrate the G major scale that we've been working on as a class. And right now we're up to 5. We have 2 more to go for us to get to the middle school all-state scales, which, as Dr. Baye said, is what we try to prepare them to be able to play by the end of the year, so that they're well prepared for all-state auditions next year. So this is the G major scale by 3 of our percussionists. So now on with the concert band and their full concert. So we're going to continue on with at least 2 or 3 other tunes, including the grand finale, Holiday Festival Sampler.